family. How y'all doing? This is Mantle Motivations Podcast. I am your host, Dominique Bishop, and today I'm here with a special guest, Shantina Lynet. Hey.
Hi,
um,
Dominique. How are you?
I'm good, boo. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Doing
I'm
good.
I'm really excited about this podcast because other than my wife, you're my next guest. And I wanted you to be one of the first guests because you are the creator and the singer of my theme song. Yeah,
Yay.
I know
Yay.
y'all heard
Yay.
it. Right. The intro and the outro, baby. And we'll
Okay,
talk
get
about
into it.
that part. We'll talk about that too during the interview. But real quick, let me go ahead and I'm going to read her bio. Singer, songwriter, performer, arranger, actress, musical director, vocal coach, and public speaking coach. Man, girl. Okay. Are just a few roles held by Miss Shantina Lynet Lowe. The 29-year-old artist has performed with Lizzo, Kanye West, and Carrie Underwood, and has opened for artists like Jeremiah and Taylor Bennett. Even with all of these incredible experiences, Shantina believes that her purpose is not just to create and perform amazing music, but to be an example for what God can do in many creatives' lives. Amen to that. When they are in divine alignment. Perfect.
Yes,
Her hope is to
absolutely.
inspire creatives everywhere to confidently share the gifts of God has the gifts that God has generally given her and leave their unique stamp on the world. That's perfect. That's what's up. I love this. Okay, I love
Thank
this
you.
because um, everything that happened to me with starting this podcast, um, it was all about like divine alignment, you know,
Yeah.
and the perfect timing for it to happen. Um,
Yeah.
like I said before, so everybody heard me say it before. It's something I've been wanting to do for quite some time, and finally I got the guts to actually take action. And um, and the reason why you're one of the people that I want on the podcast is not just because of the theme song, but also because I've seen your life, and you are a person of action. I mean,
Yes, very
you've
much
been doing
so.
it, like you've been doing it for real. Um,
Thank you.
I know I just read your bio, but I want you to go ahead and just tell the people a little bit about yourself. I mean, you I know y'all famous in Chicago. I know the Lowe family. Like everybody from Chi-Town,
Thanks.
gospel.
It's a strong word.
Love the gospel recording artists, and everybody know the Lowe family. So give us a little bit of background, on your family, how you grew up, and how the singing and everything started.
Sure. So I really, my entire family does music, from my grandparents, even the ones that have gone on, my aunts, uncles, cousins, my parents, siblings, everybody does music. So I was pretty much born into it. We started mostly doing music in church because my grandfather was like a really big pastor, on the west side of Chicago. And he really like trained my aunts and uncles for them to like do music and stuff in ministry. And so they passed that down to us, had all the grandchildren gathered in one youth choir and had us singing together. Probably to just give us something I mean, of course to foster our gifts, but to give us something to do, because we was real hyper and
Keep you out of
whatnot.
trouble.
And you're right, keep us out of trouble. And it did, it really did. And then from there, like just like kind of developing my own love for it, finding different avenues in music that I could go in, not just singing like in church, and singing gospel music, but just like doing a bunch of different things. I discovered theater. I discovered, recording in the studio and other genres that I could like write and create, and also doing background, like professional background vocalist work. Even though like we always knew that singers have background vocals and stuff like on stage, but like you just never really know that that's like a profession you can really get into until you're like really in it.
Right.
So like I've just pretty much done that, from like singing with family, and of course singing with my sisters, the love sisters. By just exploring all the different avenues in music and entertainment that I can do that like fits me. And that's just what I've been doing. It's taking me to a whole bunch of different like areas, and I've done a lot of different things. But I just wanted to explore. Like, you know, I'm a doer. So like, I just want to explore, see what I can do here, see how my gifts can work here, and yeah.
That's what's up. And I love it because our upbringing is very similar. Growing up in the church.
Yes.
And you know, both sides of your family being churchified, and musicians. You know, I got musicians and singers in my family. You know, so and it was funny because it was the same thing for me growing up. I had to sing in the choir even though I didn't want to, but it was like you gonna either do this or I mean that's pretty much it. So I was so glad when I got the opportunity to play the drums. I didn't know how to play the drums, but I was just so tired of singing in the choir. And Uncle Doug finally told me, he said, "You either gonna sing or you gonna play the drums." And of course, I chose to play the drums. So so that's what that came from. Yeah, so oh, real quick, I want to throw out there too. You are Thornwood alumni.
Big T-Bird energy, you know.
Yes.
You know how we get down.
T-Birds. Yes.
T-Bird forever, baby, forever.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. Shout out to all my fellow Thunderbirds, baby. Yes. Class 03 right here.
And class of 13 right here.
There you go. So tell me a little bit about before we get into the theme song. Tell me just a little bit about your journey going from, you know, working in the church, singing in the church per se, to because I know growing up singing in a church and having a church family, you might have some people that strongly opposed to you going outside of those four walls, and let's say going to a nightclub to sing or going to sing background for them secular artists. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So tell me about that. Like how did you maneuver that, or was it even hard for you to maneuver? Was it just something that you knew you wanted to do and you was like, I'm gonna sing no matter what?
Eventually it got to the place where I was like, I'm just singing, like I'm just working in my gift. And this is just an example of God making room for my gift, which he told us he would do in his word, you know, but I really had to come to terms with that. At first, I mean, when I started kind of moving in a secular direction, if that's what you want to call it, it was because I was writing R&B music, you know. And I think just the content of like the lyrics and stuff and what I was writing was like a complete 180 from what we were doing in church. And I think like when my people first heard that, like they first heard Ride, which is one of my like R&B songs.
And that's
they first heard
song right there. I remember when I first heard that song. I was like,
it's a good song. It's good quality music, you know, but
yeah,
at the same time, you know, it talks about all the things. That part. And so,
the grown-up thing.
And the things.
Right.
But and I think they were a little surprised to hear that I was talking about that or writing music about it. And I did have some conversations that I had to have like with my grandma, and I had conversations with my dad where he would just be asking me like, okay, so what does this lyric mean? Right. And like different things like that. Like I did have to go through that. But I think once they started seeing like the payout of it all, and I'm not even like talking about monetarily because no.
That part.
That wasn't the payout. I mean, it was a little bit of that, but
it's like the exposure,
mostly
right?
just like, you know, the exposure, the experience of like putting a song together, putting out music, which I'm now helping people in my family and people outside of my family too, learn to and do it legitimately, as far as like getting the right credits, making sure it's registered in places so that you receive your royalties and different things like that. So like, I think once they saw that it prepared me in other ways, and I picked up different like gems along the way, then they saw that they had a better appreciation for what I was doing. And then also like they still see me even today, where I'm working in the church and I'm singing. I lead praise and worship at a church every Sunday. So they know that like my love for God and like my heart hasn't changed just because the content of my music may sway different places. But not that it's even about their validation, low key. Like, and I get it. I appreciate where they come from for sure. But ultimately, I had to make the decision within myself, like that I was gonna do everything like full out and explore where my heart was telling me to explore, and not let people's like opinions and what they think about what I should be doing stop me from where I'm going. So I really, once I became most confident in it, I think it radiated, and people like was able to like really get behind what I was doing, because they knew that I was standing on business, what I wanted to do, like, you know. And when people really see you moving in your purpose like that, and they get motivated by it, and I feel like it's easier for them to get behind. But yeah.
That's good. So
it was a journey though.
I bet it was. I know how it is dealing with church folk, girl. I know. Especially when they're family members. You know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta tread lightly, and then there's a point where you
exactly. And you gotta spoon feed them, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. So was there like a actual defining moment where you were like, okay, I gotta stand 10 toes on this, like you just said, and this is what I'm gonna do? Was there like a defining moment, or a particular conversation that you had, or was there something that happened where you made that, definite decision, and you're like, okay, this is the route I'm gonna go? Or did it just kind of flow?
Yeah. Let me see. I think it was definitely gradual. That's the word that I want to use. Like, I had to get there. I think once I got a good response from my first EP when I released it back in 2016, Stu Vibes, and people really, they really liked Ride. They didn't really, I mean, to a certain extent, they was like, oh, this song nasty or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But they really like the music.
Tell everybody what album that's on, so they can go find that song. Because I'm telling y'all like it. It's lit. It's lit.
Okay. Don't have a baby, and don't blame it on me if you do. Okay. But it's called Ride. And it's on my first EP, Stu Vibes, hashtag Stu Vibes. And I think once people really recognize the musicality in the song, and I think at that moment, like, because I would get compliments just on how I vocalized everything, cadences, melodies. They like the fact that I was singing in my lower register a lot. They like the instrumentation and different things like that, because it's all live instruments, mostly live instruments. But it was a mix of like live instruments and like computerized instrumentation. But I think when people started complimenting that, I was like, oh, I think people can actually see past like just what somebody is saying and just the content, and then they can really get behind like the musicality of it, because that's really where I was trying to get at while I was doing the music. It was mostly just about creating good music, creating a good vibe, and things that were just like easy on the ear to listen to. And so when I saw that people recognized the musicality and what I was doing, I was like, oh, like it's okay. And it was church people too. I was getting compliments from church people. I had people coming up to me on Sundays like, so I heard your song, I heard your album, and I really like it. Like, and it also helped too that I had people along the way, even people at church, that was just like, and my parents too, they definitely had this conversation where they were just like, we support what you're doing. We might not always agree with like the content of whatever you're putting out, but like we support you going after your dreams. We support you doing that. And once I had like that encouragement, and I felt like that I had people behind me, like it's a little bit easier to move on. But I literally would have people come up to me and church me like, I like your project. I love what you and your sisters are doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Be encouraged.
That's beautiful. I love that. Since you said sisters, so let's talk about the Low Sisters real quick, right? And
my girl.
And we gotta talk about the viral moment. All right. So you want me to sing a little bit of it? Because that's my jam. That's my which draws did I wear today? Look.
Oh, it's so funny.
It's hilarious. And I have to tell you, every time I see it on social media and I see y'all not tagged in it or you not tagged in it, I tag y'all immediately. I'm like, yo, I need them to get that credit.
They stay using our content.
I know these people. Like, that's my claim to fame. I know them.
I know them.
And it got to the point where I think Viola Davis had even reposted y'all.
Yep, she did.
Yeah. So talk about that.
That was a super cool moment. First of all, it's just crazy to me how such a small moment, and this is why we should always lean into like our little small moments, our little playful moments, because you just never know what things turn out to be. A moment of me and my sisters literally just goofing around in the bathroom, and we decided. I mean, at that point, we was making videos, we were making mashups. And we were posting them on social cam, but that one was a little sillier. Like we was just being unserious. Set up the phone to record. Me and Kim was playing around, and it's like a spin of the church song. I'm so glad I'm sanctified. And I think me and Kim was sharing at that time, organizing our underwears and all of the clothes and all of the things, and just I started singing something, Kim started harmonizing, Kristen came in with the top part. We like, oh, this is goofy, like, and then we just pulled out a phone, recorded, and this was 2013.
Yeah,
and so to me, it's just crazy, like how such a little silly moment that we did all the way back in 2013, because I know it because I was graduating. That was my prom hair that I had on that video.
Okay.
So, like, it's still popular today. It's crazy to me how people are still like being entertained by it. They're still asking themselves what kind of underwear that they will wear for the day. And it's a very important question, okay?
It is. It's
the more you think about it, you like, wow, what do I want? Like, what do I want to feel like down here today? Okay. Do I want to wear granny panties? Do I want to feel a little sexy? Do I want to not wear none at all? Listen, I don't judge. Okay. So
Commando.
He's gonna be right here because he being nosy, so you can't even speak as a flirt.
He was a little bit. What's up, man? It's a cute dog.
Tuxedo, thank you.
What's the name?
Okay. Tuxedo.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Okay, fancy. You fancy, huh?
Please don't lick me like no.
Right. Yeah, well, I was about to say, is that a black dog? Is that?
He's a black dog doing his black job of taking care of his mom and just protecting me and loving me. He'd be my emotional support dog, truly.
That's what's up. I love it, man. But yeah, all right. So the viral moment. So yeah, tell people just a little bit about the Low Sisters and what y'all, because I know y'all just had a performance. Was it in Indiana? Y'all just had a performance?
Yeah. That was in Indiana where we did a Dream Girls experience. It's like a dinner concert. We didn't do like the full script, but we did sing all most of the songs from the show, and that was really good. We sold out the place. They didn't expect as many people that ended up showing up. Apparently, it was way more people than that actually bought tickets and stuff online. So it was like good problems, to have. But me and my sisters, we've been singing together for a long time. We've been on this journey for a long time, and like we've made our own strides like outside of each other and just doing like our own thing. But every time we come together is just it's an
Right.
explosion of all the things like
It is.
and it's just kind of like hard to like not ignore, but like it's just not one of those things that we can just kind of like put to the side, put on
Yeah.
a back burner, and just let it be. Like the Low Sisters are always going to be a thing. We are working on a project, by the way,
Oh
so
yeah.
that will be yeah, that'll be coming out. But we really we're very unique individuals, and so we like to take our time with the things that we do. And we just like to make sure that whatever we do is unique to us and that it works for us and not just doing what um, people think we should do, going in a direction that we think we should go. And that was another just like a transition that we had to go through with like not necessarily being a gospel singing group. Because
Yeah.
people will compare it to the Clark sisters real quick, which is an honor, by the way. Those
Yeah.
are my girls. They're amazing.
That part.
But we just have things about us that are a little bit different, and we are just a little bit broader. I don't know if that I don't mean that like in an
Yeah.
insulting
You
way to
you
them,
all are you all
but
are your own individuals. Yeah.
yeah, we have our own things that interest us that we like to
Mhm.
dabble in, that we like to talk about. Very much so uh, real in a way of we like to talk how we want. We like to do the things that we want, and we're really big on freedom. And so, yeah,
That's,
we've just taken our time a lot with
that's what's
the
up.
direction that we want to go with the group.
I love that. I love that. You all have done some other performances before, um, and you all have actually performed together, um, for some celebrities, haven't you?
Yeah, we've done BGV work for quite a few people.
Hmm.
And to Amber Bullock, who was the Sunday's best competitor, and so was Kristen, actually, my sister.
Uh-huh.
Um, we did the Soar Awards this year, 2024 Soar Awards, that aired on Impact Network.
Okay.
And it was a number of gospel artists that we did backgrounds for, like Jacqueline Carr,
Yeah.
um, Todd Galbert, uh, Todd Delaney.
Man.
Like just it was a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
And we got the opportunity to like do a tribute to Kim Burrell in front of Kim Burrell and Ricky Dillard
That's
and Marvin
dope.
Sapp, Travis Green. So that was really nice. Like,
Yeah.
and then we also uh we currently sing do BGVs for JIV and Tari Teray,
Okay.
who just JIV is he just won Grammys for like the past couple of years, the only other spoken word artist in
Mhm.
history to get a Grammy besides Maya Angelou.
Oh wow. That's
So yeah, yeah.
okay.
So
Big
we've been with
things.
him, and that's
Big
been
things.
yeah, big teams, big teams. And the
Yes.
next thing we doing the Black Girl Art Show on September 13th, I want to say.
Booked
I
and
hope that date is
busy.
right. Yeah, and we'll be opening up for Chrisette Michelle. So that'll be
Oh my God. Where at?
in Chicago. It's the Black Girl Art Show. They tour it's like an art show, but they tour all around the states.
Mhm.
Just, honoring Black girls, Black women,
Yeah.
and all of the creativity that Black women bring to this world through art, through the products that they create, just everything. And I think it was started in Atlanta too. So I know they have them in it. I know
I know
they
you
have them
better
in
let me. I
Atlanta.
know you better let me know.
I def I'm gonna let you know it's coming up real soon.
Okay, cool. Because the only thing is, I love and I support you so much, and then I know you're in
You
Chicago now,
do.
so I'll be like, anytime I see something, I do repost it. I'll be like, hey, Chicago.
Yeah, and do listen, I feel the
Check
love
it out.
all the way from Atlanta to Chicago. I feel the love.
That part, I love it. I love it. So let's talk about your transition from being in Chicago, moving away, and then coming back. How was that? How was
It
that journey?
was a lot. Never expected that it would have turned out like this. But I think, well, first of all, it was a great experience for me to leave home and live away from home for a little bit. Just because I got to meet so many new people, I got to do so many new like cool things. I originally moved to Atlanta to like pursue like my solo career, my individual artist career. And while it did help, uh, I did it. Well, it was necessary for me for my journey.
Yeah.
But I didn't have to stay there. I guess all of it taught me really to just that what I was looking for and what I was looking to do was already like inside of me. So like wherever I was gonna go, God was gonna meet me there and do he do. Whether I had chose to stay here, whether I had chose to stay in Atlanta, and I had even moved to LA. And that's what we ended up doing, the Kanye West, the Sunday Service Choir. And so and that was like a huge opportunity too. And it was a lot of networking done in a very short amount of time. And so I got to know like a lot of the top singers in LA really quickly. So that was a blessing. I got to experience doing a lot of different things out there and just like being on my own and recognizing like it's like it was like that transition, like that really pushed me into my adulthood. Where I really realized I'm responsible for where I go and what I do, and it's not dependent on anybody else's decision, what anybody else, where anybody else thinks I should go, or anything like that. But I'm in 100% control of my decisions of what I do and where I go. And it just helped me become a little bit more mature in that area, you know, with just not always assuming or waiting on other people to give me the opportunities that I want, or putting the responsibility on other people for me to get where I have to go. Not blaming other people for why I'm not where I want to be and different things like that. But like just really making me accountable, like as an adult and responsible. And yeah, it was a wild transition though. It was a very wild transition because I was just kind of going with the flow of things and going where my work was taking me. And I feel like that was the first time where I really didn't have the safety net under me like I really have had in the past. You know, here in Chicago, I can easily fall back on like my family, the network that I've already created just by growing up here, you know. But having to start somewhere new and having to start from scratch will really it'll show you how much work is necessary to put in.
I know.
Okay.
I don't know if
it's
you,
just like
you
this
remember
is not
when I moved from home and moved to Mississippi. So yeah, growing up and now I'm out here in Georgia. So yes, growing up, I mean, moving away does grow you up because it's
real quick.
A sink or swim situation.
Truly. And it's like you gonna let yourself stay on the street or you gonna, you know. And for me, things were just moving way slower than I really wanted them to. And I probably could have had more patience with the situation. But I just felt like God was moving me back home because I was getting a lot of calls from home, and people who wanted to take care of stuff, pay me for certain stuff that I wasn't doing before. And then I ended up just coming back here for a show. Somebody flew me back out here for a show. And like since that show, I had just been getting booked in Chicago. And I'm like, I didn't have anything lined up in LA or Atlanta. So I'm gonna do what the work is that's put right in front of me, you know? And it ended up being a blessing because I just have a different mindset while being now being back here at home. And I don't necessarily, I still have my safety net, of course. But I'm just in a different headspace where I can really like stand on my own and do the things that I really want to do that my heart is telling me to do, you know? And so it's just, I'm just seeing things from a different vantage point. And I have a new appreciation for my city, I think, too. Just everything, the culture here, the people, the food, baby, the food.
I miss it.
Okay.
I miss it, girl.
Love the food down.
Yeah, and that's funny because I know hearing other people who are in the music industry tell their stories, especially ones from Chicago. Some of them I always think, well, if I really want to make it, I need to either go to New York or go to LA or go to Atlanta. When I mean, Chicago is a really good home base.
Yes, for musicians,
the industry. Yeah.
for the industry, period.
Mhm.
It's a really good training ground too for you if you want to become great at your craft. Like, and not that other places don't have that or don't offer that, but Chicago, you're just amongst so many talented individuals in a bunch of different areas that's gonna challenge you to get better at your craft, to really sharpen what it is or the direction that you want to go and different things like that. And it's not, it could be a tough crowd out here too. So it does force you to kind of look at all of the things that are holding you back in your craft and like how you can get better at it, because Chicago, they ain't gonna BS you, okay? If they is not
I was
feeling
just getting
you,
ready to say that because
they will
we
look at
real.
you crazy and look at you for your entire set and sit down on you and not say a thing, and they and they not offended and nothing, baby. They're gonna pay you in dust if they do not like what you're doing. And while that's very intimidating, for some people, but it has definitely made me a better performer. It's made me a better singer. It's helped me gauge crowds a lot better, and that way. So I do kind of appreciate how tough of a cookie Chicago can be, because if you can make it in Chicago, baby, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah, Chicago builds some really tough people because we are used to the grind. You know what I mean? And
the
we are
grit.
used to people being real and in your face and like, yo, this is what it is. No, I didn't like that. You're trash. Like,
and
they
quick
would
to
tell
say
you
it.
to your face.
Quick to say it to your face.
Right. Be like, this is what you should have done better, sis. Like, this is what it is. I mean,
and I appreciate that. Those things used to really they used to turn me off and kind of put me in my cell. But I can appreciate somebody being honest and telling me how they honestly felt about my performance. I wish you would have did this. Could have done a little bit more of this. And I take it. I take the constructive criticism if it's constructive. Right. I take it.
I just being me.
I ain't just listening to everybody now, but I will take a note. I will take a note and figure out how I can make my performance better. So I appreciate that about my city.
That's cool. And then one thing too that I've noticed about you, and it reminds me of one of my favorite artists, Jill Scott. She can take her songs and twist them up so many different ways to where Is It the Way You Love Me, Baby sound totally different 10, 20 years later. Yes. You take music and the way you just twist it up and rearrange it and do that bio said rearrange arranger, right? So and the way you do that, I be listening to your music, I'm like, how'd she come up with that? How'd she come up with that arrangement? And it sounds so completely different. What was the one song? The one song you did? It was a kid's theme song.
Oh, Wonderful Every Day.
Yeah, Arthur.
It's the Arthur theme song. Yeah.
And I was like, that's my childhood, but she made that a bop.
And really Chance the Rapper. I have to probably give some of that credit to Chance the Rapper, because him and the Social Experiment really brought it back. And I did a cover of their cover. But you know, it just transforms to other things when you add live instrumentations, when a female is now singing it instead of like a man, when I made it even more singy, you know what I'm saying? Like can't sing, but he's mostly a rapper. And so actually singing it, putting my own little spin on it, and then I had my choir do when I was directing the choir on WIU campus. I had them do it. And then that ended up turning into something else. Then I brought it back and I was doing it as an artist. Yeah. And it just just kept evolving. Like, and I like my music to do that. I get bored quick.
I love it. I love it. And then put your runs in there, because she's a runner.
Yeah. A runner. A track star.
In a good way. In a good way. You got some runners that run too much. And you be like, all right.
Placement is important. Placement is important. I'm really big on that too. Making sure I'm not just doing things willy-nilly. I do like to try stuff and, you know, take risks, but they have to be calculated. They have to make sense. And in front of an audience, most times is not the time to take that risk. I take those risks in private or, you know, in a small group where I can trust those people's opinions. And then I take it to, you know, the big platform when I feel like it's ready for me to take that risk.
As you should. And I don't know why sometimes people think they should try everything in front of everybody. It's like, you got to know your crowd. You got to know.
You do.
You know what I mean?
And it can make or break a performance. It can be the difference between an audience really feeling and digging into your performance, or it just falling flat and they'd be like, all right, who next? Who coming up to sing next?
Like you said. Yeah. No hand claps, no snaps, nothing. They
nothing. We'll just look at you.
Right. And then like working the crowd, like, all right, let's say, for example, you're in front of a crowd and you know that they're not, in that very moment, they're not really feeling it. How do you adjust to that to bring them in or engage them or to bring them back to you?
Well, I've been learning how to like command the room, and not just kind of leave it to the energy of the people, because they come, you know, to see me. They well, not me per se, but they come to be entertained. So you kind of have to tell them how to feel. You got to tell them how to feel, set the tone of the room, and have everybody else follow. But more specifically, everybody likes to laugh. I love to crack a joke. I love a pun. I love to say something real silly or you know, and definitely when it comes to Chicago artists, I mean, not Chicago artists, but Chicago crowds, was just saying something that I know that they can relate to, because that's what's gonna really draw them in. Everybody likes to laugh. So I have definitely been incorporating the, like, you know, the comedy, very, very, very amateur stand-up portion of my shows. And then I sing real well, and it's like, oh, she can like really sing too. But also, you gonna laugh, because lighten up, okay?
That part. We had to have fun. You know, exactly. So have a fun environment. So tell me about your influences. Who influenced you as far as singing, or who do you because you're your own person when it comes to singing. You have your own original voice by far. But every once in a while, when you do a little run or something, I'll be like, oh yeah, I know. Okay, yeah. Like that's because I listen to you a lot, and then I you know, I know you too. So I'm like,
exactly. So it's like you used to, yeah. I have a whole bunch of different influences. And it's from every genre. Most artists, like if I know the song, I'm probably taking a little piece of it. Even never mind, I'm not gonna say that because that's not gonna come out right. However, a lot of different influences. Of course, we know the Brandy for vocals. We know Brandy. We know Jasmine. I love James Fauntleroy as far as songwriting goes, but also how he paints it as a singer on the track, because there are songwriters out there who just write the song and they're not really like singers like that. But he's like, to me, he's like a really good, a dope singer songwriter. But I'm also influenced by rappers because like I love cadences, I love beats, I love a good beat. So Drake was definitely one of my favorite influences. A lot of the R&B girls like now, SZA, Summer Walker. I love a Rihanna. I
Yeah.
love, but also I grew up in church, so gospel music was like heavily influenced by Mary Mary, Fred Hammond. Love J Moss. Love the Clark sisters.
Oh yeah.
Uh, but I'm also a theater girl, so like just like the different it's a bunch of different voices in theater that I really like, but just that style, of telling a story on a track. I take that from theater, and really having like that really crisp, clean. I probably overpronounce a lot of stuff in my songs too. I've been told that in the studio, but it's just because um, I have been in theater, and it's like I know that the audience is listening, and even missing a small piece of it might throw off their ability to really understand the story. And so I really like that clarity in music. I love the musicality, instrumentations. I love things being really big. I love having an experience in creating a world in a song. So um, yeah, a lot of artists do that for me. I could go on and on. We know Beyonce. Listen, Beyonce, my girl, is a pro at creating a world in a song, in an
Yo,
album.
so I saw her in concert for the first time last year,
You went
Renaissance.
to real Renaissance too?
When I tell you, now I'm not necessarily a beehiver, but when I tell you I get it, I
Baby,
get it.
the
Like
overrated?
I
No,
was
could
already
never be overrated.
right.
Definitely lives up to the hype. Definitely.
I was already a fan of hers because I love her music and of course Destiny's Child and everything. But to actually see her perform on stage
Yes.
and
Yes.
all the different pieces that were put together and to know that this came from her. Like,
Yes. And she's very detail
oh
oriented,
my God.
very specific about what she wants. A Virgo down. A Virgo down.
When I
Okay.
tell you she Virgo like no other Virgo I know.
Yes.
I mean
Like
to a T.
Queen Virgo.
That part. And I love like watching her documentary and the behind the scenes. And I've watched certain stuff over the years. And I mean, she's like, yeah, no, this is what I want. And I love the fact that she does not waver. You know what I mean? Because she's like, I have a
Yes.
specific plan. I see it in my head. So this is what it has to be. So this is what
Yeah.
I have to do. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
love that.
And it just makes you appreciate her genius so much more.
Definitely. And then bringing it back to you, that's why I appreciate your music a lot because, your writing and your arranging and everything is just so, I mean, masterfully put together. It truly is.
Thank
And then
you.
your voice just flow over top of it. Because honestly, I have to say, I have always been, because I'm a little bit of an alto myself. Me, just a little bit. But
Thank you.
but I have a strong affinity for altos. I have a strong
Okay.
affinity for women with lower tones. So that's
Yeah.
why I listen to Jill Scott. I listen to Layla Hathaway. Anita Baker,
Love
going,
it.
Toni
Yes.
Braxton. I love those types of tones. So
Yes. Yes.
you coming up, Brandy, all of them, you coming up, and I'm like, man, yeah, I could listen to this all day. I love it. I love it. That so
Thank you.
when like when did you find out your range? Because I've heard you
Um,
go high and I've heard you go low. How did you like figure that out? Did it come over time? Did your progression come over time or was it just natural? You were just born with all of that.
I think I was born with a lower register. I
Mhm.
don't know why, but it's in my speaking voice. So I definitely think that it's something that like God, let me give
Yeah,
him his sins because it was definitely him
yeah.
that put it inside of me. But I think I realized when I was training, doing a lot of the high parts, like singing in the choir, and I would just blow my voice out
Yeah.
in one song, trying to sing like some of the alto parts. I'm like, but I'm hitting the notes the octave under though, and
Hmm.
that's pretty easy for me.
Right,
So maybe it's just I didn't realize that it's probably just because I had a lower register.
right.
Probably until a little bit later, maybe like high school. And then of course when I started singing tenor with my sister.
Mhm.
But I think before and I was actually kind of insecure about it too, because a higher singers that can hit high notes typically, a lot of people are more drawn to people who sing higher, and I think you can grab people's attention when you can sing really high.
Real good whistle tones and stuff like that. Yeah.
Exactly, and people are like really impressed by that, and it is impressive. I'm not saying that it isn't; it's definitely impressive. But I think that I was just like, oh, well, I can't do that, so I have to find a way to lean into what makes me unique, and what that is like. What is my thing that is going to make me great and make me unique, while not being able to do all of the little tricks all the way up in the rafters. And then the more that I leaned into it, I just developed it more, and it became something. And I'm like, oh, this is a gift. And I hear people say to me that they like I have such a clear like bottom, and singing, being able to sing down there. I'm like, that's mostly because I had to, not like not really because I was like, oh, I think I want to have a lower register instead of a higher one. I'm working on my higher one now, but yeah, I think that was just most comfortable for me, and I leaned into it because it was different, and I was like, oh, like I can actually do this. Yay.
And that's funny you say that too about the low register, because that's another reason why I think I like Beyonce even more so now than I did before, because the older she's getting, the deeper
She's leaning in, baby.
and I love that too. She's leaning
Yes, the
into
voice
it.
is
She's not shying
grounded. It's
away from it.
grounded.
So that's why you heard me say I like those, deeper tones from women. Mariah Carey, and that's cool. You get them props. But I love me an alto. I mean, I grew up with my auntie. So hearing that, singing that resonates with me. And then, being around
Yes, she definitely, and she's one of those people that made me confident in that too. Okay. I never felt bad about changing another key to a song. See? Because of
and she'll do it quick too. She'll be like, "No, we're not gonna do that.
We're gonna change the key." And you are not wrong, Queen. Ain't that up?
All right, so let's talk about this theme song, Automatic. So let me just give the people a backstory of how we got it, because at first I was gonna use some instrumental music. But then I was like, I want something that's actually saying something. So what I did was I was like, I called you, and I was like, hey, Tina, I just got a quick question. I want to go through your catalog and see if there's anything that I want to utilize. And, if it is, how am I able to use it? What's the process, this, that, and the other. And I love, I was so tickled when you said it. I love it. You was like, well, I'm independent, so you could just talk to me. And I was just like, yes. I was like, yes, thank you, Jesus. I'm talking to the one.
Right. Right. All you gotta do is directly contact me.
Yeah, you
if I was under a label, had I been like signed when I released that, then we probably would have to go through some other formalities, but nah, girl, all you gotta do is ask me, and
just talk to me. Just let me know which one you want, and then I got you. I was like, okay, boom. And I think I hit you back later on that day too. And I was like, yeah, I want this one. Let me get Automatic. Yeah. It was in my email in like half an hour. I was like, hallelujah.
Okay. Got it too. Because listen.
So tell us a bit about Automatic and how that came about, and what were you going through in your life that brought that song about?
Sure. Well, first of all, it was produced by my cousin Chavez, Bez, we call him.
Shout out.
And he shout out Bez. And he had just given me a beat, and I had, we was putting stuff together when me and Devin was working on 10,000 Hours. Because he executive produced the album. We was working on it or whatever together. He was gathering beats, And Bear sent me that one. I think I ended up just writing to it. It was, to me, it had like a bounce, like real, not robotic, but I don't know. It just had like
Yeah.
a really
It
computerized
makes you
bounce to me.
move.
Like,
It make you
yeah, yeah,
move.
yeah. And so I automatically, no pun intended, I automatically thought of just like doing things autonomized, like,
Yeah.
you know. And then from that, I just kind of like built on the concept. At that time, I was really going hard in my artistry, and I really saw myself getting to a place of music, like, and I was really trying to press for that. And I felt like it was a lot of things in my life that was distracting me from getting there. It was people, it was things that I was involved in myself in, just a lot of different things I felt like was just holding me up.
Yeah.
And I was writing the words. I really was writing it towards like speaking about like my destiny and having to like redirect myself and redirect myself, like not have something come in and traumatically or dramatically redirect me, you
Right.
know, but really making the decision myself to go on the path and not getting hung up on all of the like different distractions. And so I wrote it from a perspective of, you know, just telling somebody who may be looking to like, let's say date, or looking to like hang out all the time and just kind of sit around and kick it, and you know, or even workplaces, jobs that was just distracting. You know what I'm saying? Like I wrote it from a perspective of just telling them like, hey, I got somewhere that I have to be, and I don't have all the time in the world. Like I have to go. I have to get moving. I'm sorry. I gotta catch you later. Like, and it's no, you know, I'm trying to figure out what the first like verse goes like traveling the same way, headed to the same place. Like these are people that are around me on the same journey that I am. And so, you know, we're bound to cross. But when you see me just looking the other direction, like because I have places that I have to be, I have things that I have to do. Yes, very much so keeping my focus, well, staying focused rather.
Yeah.
And so, and then also around that time, I ended up putting a video, well, the audio from a video of my nephew that had passed. My sister had a baby in 2021, and he passed from SIDS 7 months later. And that really, first of all, refocused us.
Yeah.
Because it was just it was just one of those things where we didn't understand why it happened.
Yeah.
It was very painful for us to go through. We loved that baby. We tried to take care of him as best as we possibly could, but you know that situation still happened. Um, and it was just like a wake up call and a motivator for us to like really go hard. You just never know who will be here, who won't be here, even if it's a baby. Like long life is not promised to anybody, and so that also was why I felt like it was fitting to put him on the track and let my nephew say his little goo goo gagas and whatnot. And it'll always just like be. I knew it would be a reminder every time I went back to listen to it to just stay focused, not let things or distractions get in the way of what you say you want to do, where you say you want to go. Because we do not have all the time in the world to waste. We don't, tomorrow is not promised. We are on borrowed time. And so whatever decision you're gonna do, wherever you want to go, you have to make the conscious decision to travel in that direction. Not just you know, not just letting things kind of, I mean, you of course you want to let things flow and you don't want to force things, but intention is everything. Intention and behind what you're doing is everything. And if you move with intention, you'll get to where you're going a lot faster as opposed to just kind of letting things fall into where they into where they're supposed to be or what have you. Like,
Yeah.
take control of that thing, take it by the horns,
That part.
and move it in the direction you want it to go. And when that intention is added, you get to where you're going much quicker.
Amen to that. And I'm so glad that you learned that at an earlier age. And me for myself, that's why this song resonated with me so much, because this whole Mantle Motivations movement and everything else that I plan on doing, it was like, I am 39, I'll be 40 next year, but this is not like a midlife crisis or anything like that. It's a
Right.
redirection. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been in policing and law enforcement and doing all that type of stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
done with all of that. And it's like, okay, now let me get to my purpose. Not to say that what I did in the past is not a part of my purpose. I feel that everything I did was building me up to this
Yeah.
moment now, to where I have the confidence and I have the mental stability for it, and the mental strength,
Yeah.
and emotional strength. So yeah, that's why
Divine timing.
that part,
Divine timing, truly.
that part. So that's why
And then you just realize that everything
uh,
that you was doing prepared you for this moment. Like,
yeah,
it was no rush to get to where I mean, of course we want to move with purpose and not just drag our feet on things, but also take the steps that you have to go, because they're all of the things are preparing you for where you're trying to be. Like, all the law enforcement things, all the transition from Chicago to Atlanta, all of that, has prepared you for where this next chapter is about to take you. And so, yeah, we love divine timing.
don't we though?
Set up every time,
And
guys.
that and when you were talking about, I gotta go, like this is all you get. Like that's how I am now with my job. Like y'all gonna get these 8 hours and then I'm out.
And then I'm gone.
Y'all getting these
No
8
shade.
hours.
I
Right.
just got
Y'all
to go.
getting
I'm
these eight
somewhere to
hours.
be.
I'm gonna give y'all these 8 hours. After that, I'm gone because I have other stuff to do. Like
Yes.
I was just having a conversation with my wife, and we were talking about all those years of how we worked so hard for other people, working 70, 80 hours a week and putting all that time in and doing and working overtime. It's like that dedication and that work ethic, we need to put that into ourselves.
Yeah.
And we're going to
Yeah.
flourish. We're going to flourish,
Quick.
because now it's for me, and it don't necessarily feel like I'm working because I'm doing something.
Exactly.
I'm trying to working on fulfilling my purpose and my destiny. Whereas when I
Exactly.
was working for Bob and all of them, I was working on his dreams and helping him taking his kids to college and all that type of stuff.
Exactly.
I'm
And
done
then
with
it's like, what about my legacy? What about where
that
we
part.
going and where I'm going to be in the next 10, 15 years? And I'm the only one I have to look at myself in the mirror and be satisfied with where I am in life. I do.
Yeah.
Nobody else wakes up in the mirror and they looking at themselves. But y'all not looking at Shantina. You're not looking at Dominique.
Right.
I have to look at that, and therefore I have to make decisions that is going to make me satisfied with who I'm looking at in the mirror every morning.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I tell people, you have to live with yourself 24/7. You got to live with you 24/7. Don't nobody else necessarily have to live with
Yes.
you 24/7, but you, because when you in those private moments by yourself, you're still with you. So are you
You're still
happy
with
with
you.
you? Are you happy with what you're doing? You know what I mean? If you're not, switch that thing up. Automatic
Yeah.
redirection. Come on now.
Automatic redirection.
that,
Okay. And
that
don't let it come to a point where you're now feeling undervalued and used, or have to go through some sort of trauma to get you on a path that you should have been on. Like,
yeah.
do it yourself. Take the initiative to do it, so that, because this is it won't hurt as much if you do it this way.
Right. And some we hear in the church growing up all the time, this is biblical, and hear people say obedience is better than sacrifice. And the older I get, the more I
It's so
understand.
true.
Oh my
It is
God.
so true.
Obedience is better than sacrifice. Baby, just do what you're supposed to do. Trust me. Trust us.
Do what you're being led to do, and trust me. Otherwise, you're gonna have to make a sacrifice
Right.
to get where you gotta do. Hello?
And them
This is the
sacrifices
easier route.
hurt. Them sacrifices hurt, boy.
Oh, Hello.
But everything, like you said, that's why I love Fantasia's song so much. Um, what's the song she say? What she say? Everything is for a reason. Um, necessary. That song. What she says, it
Okay.
was necessary. That's why I love that song so much because she's like everything you went through, everything leading up to this very moment, even to you sitting in the audience listening to me. It
Yes.
was all
It's
necessary.
necessary.
Divine timing, divine order. Right. So we're gonna get out of here in a minute. I got one more question. Um, I know you booked and busy, girl. I'm so
Right.
proud of you. I'm telling
Thank you. I'm
you,
proud
so
of you
proud of you.
too. I'm proud of you too for stepping in a direction where you want to go that is fulfilling to you. I'm always proud of that.
Thank you.
I love that for everybody. This is just a manifestation of me doing that, but you're doing the same thing, so we're doing the same things, you know?
That's what's up. And yeah, I really wish y'all knew Tina like how I knew Tina because she is such an amazing person. I mean, you can see her aura is just bright. Like the girl, when I'm telling you, when she
Wow.
walks to the room, she bring when she walks to the room, she bring the sunshine. I mean, it's there, like
That's so
encouraging,
sweet.
loving, everything. I
Stop. Oh my God.
it's too much. It's too much.
No, no, it's just,
No,
you
but
know, when I look back over my life and think things
hey,
over.
but see, and that's the thing about it too, because people see us, and that's why you always have to have that testimony. I thank God I don't look like what I've been through. Cause baby,
Every day.
y'all don't know.
Y'all do not know. And maybe one day they will, maybe one day they won't, but
Maybe we're gonna
it
get
took a lot.
that book or that movie or something, and then they understand. Cause then nobody
Period.
really understand about Tina Turner until what's love got to do with it.
That's true.
But right. So all right, before we get out of here, I just want to ask you two more questions. First off, what are some of your future goals and what do you have going on? I know you talked about some of the things that you have going on in your immediate future. But what are some of your future goals, or what are some things that you want to do with your career?
Um, well, I took a break from releasing music
Mhm.
because I had to reconfigure what my personal motivator was
Yeah.
and take out what everybody else wanted me to do. So I do want to put out the music that I've been working on. I have not put a date on it. I have not solidified it yet because honestly, God has just not told me it's time yet. He just
Okay.
hasn't. And so that I do want to put out more music. Definitely want to release a project with my sisters. We are working on that. But ultimately, I want to continue to. Well, I'm stepping in some other fields too.
Okay.
Um, been doing my research in healthcare. I'm really into like holistic healing and different things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been like trying to find ways to um, combine that with music.
Yeah.
I'm also in education now too. I'm going to start teaching at a school.
Okay.
So really, I've been trying to focus on like setting things in place and creating resources for the generation of musicians that's coming after me and being a resource to them, being a
Good.
resource to other artists in the city,
That's good.
and figuring out how I can support and how I can create more resources and more opportunities for them. So while I'm focusing on myself, I'm also trying to focus on the legacy that I'm leaving behind me, which is not just the children that I'm going to pop out one day, you
Right.
know, but it's also the ones that I'm coming into contact with, the ones that are watching me and seeing that it's possible to do what they want to do because they see that I'm doing it. And I'm right here, you know, in their classroom, or I'm right here, I'm their cousin, they could text me, or I'm accessible.
Yeah.
And so I've just been, trying to figure out what ways, what organizations I want to create that will continue to help the musicians after me. Those are entertainment in general,
That's dope.
but how they're going to come after me too. So I'm really focused on that because not that my time is like ticking or whatever as an artist. Not that I think that you can be too old to be an artist or anything like that.
Mhm.
Um, but the generation after us is very important. Those are our future leaders.
Yeah.
Those are the people that are going to take care of us, that are going to make laws for us, that are going to shift the culture when we are not in the limelight anymore. And so I just want to make sure that I leave a positive impact on them too, because that really, really matters to me personally.
No, they do need it. And I have noticed like the younger generation, and they need direction. They really truly need
Yes.
direction. And that was something that I have been thinking about with like Mantle Motivations as well. Because Mantle Motivations is an umbrella, and there's other little things, not little, but other things that I want to do. And our mentoring program was one as well, because
Yeah.
kids, they need life spoken into them. This generation, they don't value life like the other generations did. You know what I mean?
It's
And
different. It's different in different ways. I think each generation has had their thing
mhm,
where they, where they could have used more wisdom. Um, but I do appreciate that this generation is at least willing to hear out what older generations have to say, and or at least willing to seek out wisdom, seek out knowledge,
yeah,
even if it isn't from the older generation. They are willing to learn
yeah,
and do certain things. So like in that way, yeah,
yeah.
I feel like we could really like capitalize, not capitalize off of, I hate that word, but really we could
To start a movement.
benefit from yeah. From the fact that they do want help and they do seek out knowledge, but you just have to know how to get it to them. You got to be kind of creative in how you gonna impart that knowledge into them, because doing it the wrong way, they are pretty sensitive,
Yeah.
and doing it the wrong way
Yeah.
or not doing it in love, they can easily pick that up. They can sense it, and they will
That
reject you for
tone.
it.
Yeah, that tone, baby.
That's
And it's,
home, baby.
yeah, and it's so funny because like us growing up, it was respect your elders. It was, like that with other
Yes.
generations. But it's like this younger generation, they like, grandma, if you don't respect me, I don't respect you. I mean, what is
Okay, surely the
it?
respect is optional around.
Right, right. For them, so it's like when you step into these younger kids now, you really got to step correct and you have to be authentic. That's really
Yeah.
what
Yes.
authentic
Yes.
ones. They down, they cool. Don't try to be something that you're not. Don't be fake and all that, because they can see right through you.
Okay.
And then
And we'll
two,
call you out on.
yeah, and they're dealing with so much more than what we had our stuff we went through,
Yeah.
but they dealing with so much. Speaking of the next generation, last question: what advice would you give to um a younger person who is starting out in an industry or wants to start out in the industry?
Um, I would probably stress the importance of the importance of mastering your craft first and foremost. Whatever it is you want to do, if it's you want to be a singer, you want to be a drummer or play guitar, or you want to be an actor or what have you, if you master your craft and learn all there is to know about it and develop yourself to the best of your ability, the opportunities are going to follow. I think a lot of young people, myself included,
Mhm.
got hung up on, I want to be this, I want to get there, and if we were really focused on like the goal and trying to get where we want to go. But whole time it was my gifts that put me in the room. It was my level of my gift, me really disciplining myself in my gift,
Yeah.
and wanting to focus on my craft and lean into that, that put me in rooms quicker than just being like, I'm ready for this, put me here, I deserve to be here, I want this, I want that. And all of that is fine because you want to visualize where you have to go or where you want to go. But you can never go wrong with mastering your craft and putting
Right.
your 10,000 hours in. My
Yeah.
album was called 10,000 hours because that was um yeah, if you put 10,000 hours into your craft, or whatever you put 10,000 hours into, you will technically become a master at it. So put your hours into your work, master your craft, make sure that you're the best, even if you're not by anybody else's standards. Make sure you're the best at what you do by your standards, and by other people's standards too. Okay, let's not get too delulu.
Right.
But but also making sure that you master your craft, and then everything else is gonna follow. The opportunities are gonna follow. Getting put in the rooms are gonna follow. The notoriety is gonna follow. The limelight is gonna come just by being great. Child, you think Samira Joy came and got on Instagram and was like, "Everybody, look at me! I'm the best jazz singer, and I deserve to be heard, and I deserve Grammys, and I deserve to get put on platforms." No, that baby worked, and she sings her butt off, and it automatically puts her in places.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I say: master your craft, and everything else will follow. And of course, keep God first.
Yeah, I know. I got just one more last question, then we're done. Being who you are now and what you're doing. Hey,
Sire.
What's
say
up?
Hi, it's my nephew.
How you doing, love?
Stop, tuxedo. Say hi.
Hi. Hi, love.
Okay, he's gonna be here for the last question.
No, that's cool. What advice? Who you are now? What advice would you give to your younger self, say 10, 15 years ago? What would Shantina now say to the Shantina back then?
Don't be so scared. God, or don't be scared. More specifically, to be perceived. I was very scared, and I literally just got over that fear probably like a year ago. Mm-hmm. With just being so afraid of what people were gonna think about what I wanted to do, what people were gonna think about me. I knew that the things I saw myself doing younger, a lot of times I stopped myself because I was scared of that people were going to talk about me. I was scared that I would be ridiculed, like by the church. Yeah. I was scared of just a lot of different things, of failing. But just moving fear out the way, or embracing the fear, but using it as a motivator, and something to catapult me into where I'm going, instead of something that is a barrier, something that's stopping me. I wanted to be a cheerleader. I wanted to be on the cheerleading team at Thornwood, and I thought I was too big. I thought I couldn't do it, and it stopped me from doing it. And that's probably one of my only regrets. Like, I really wanted to cheer. I could have really cheered. I got the big voice for it. I got the rhythm for it, could dance, do all of that stuff. Yeah. And I just wish that fear wouldn't have stopped me. So I probably would just tell myself, like, don't be so scared. Don't be so, or if you is scared, do it, go do it anyway. Like, what's the worst? Never know what these things turn out to be. Right. And it's about your happiness and what you want to see yourself as, and not what everybody else thinks that you should be, or the box that they want to put you in. That's what's up. All right, Gil, go ahead and give the people your socials. Where can they follow you? Where can they find your music? Because I want them to hear what I've been hearing. Yes. You can follow me on all social media platforms. Shantina, that's spelled Shantina, Lynet, Lynet. That's my name everywhere. Honestly, if you Google Shantina Lynet, my music will come up too. But just type in Shantina Lynet on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, all the things, and you will find all of my music. Put me in Google, child, and everything will come up. Baby. Not like that. But Google me, okay? I put a lot of work in to make sure I was on Google. So Google me. Google well, y'all heard it from here on Mantle Motivations Podcast. Look, I thank y'all for tuning in. Tina, baby, thank you for being on here with me. I had a great time today. Me too. It was a pleasure, and thank you so much for having me as your first guest. It's an honor. Of course, boo. Now she gonna have me doing that. Okay. I love you, and I support you, and I appreciate you so much. So again, thank you. Oh, something flying. Likewise. But again, thank you for doing this podcast and being willing to get on here and talk to me and talk to the people. Of course. So, y'all, please go follow Shantina. Go listen to her music. Go check out her and her sisters, the Low Sisters. Yay. Because I'm telling you, y'all are in for a treat.
Shantina and her sisters. I mean, it's amazing.
Hey, family, thanks for tuning in. As always, your crown may be tilted, but never, ever let it fall. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Peace and love.